This article is important and it needs to be read to the people that watch this channel. You're a sucker if you don't believe the system is rigged. Imagine you spent 2 years completely screwing up at your job. I mean, not merely getting every single thing wrong loudly, proudly getting in everyone's face about how right you are. You'd get fired, terminated, 86th, and shift canned. But not the mainstream media. The media hacks failed for 2 years plus nonstop without equivocation, but they are never going to be held to account. No, they're just going to gather in a big circle and Pulitzer each other. We're talking about the mainstream media and the Russia collusion with Trump. Now, another one, another reason why you need to realize you're a sucker if you don't believe the system is rigged. And I'm including Bitcoin and crypto for the most part in this. Imagine you committed a racial hate crime where you falsely accused people who didn't look or think like you of a horrible atrocity, and that you'd have gladly picked some poor saps with the wrong skin tone out of a lineup and sent them to prison for decades given the chance. Now imagine the two halfwits you hired to help you manage to get caught on video buying their stereotype get-up and spilled it all to the fuzz. Though the fact you paid them with a check because you're a criminal mastermind was already enough to get a grand jury to indict your sorry AOC. Now, what are the chances the DA is going to transform your 16 felony counts into a $10,000 fine with a couple of days community servicing? Your chances of said outcome are poor. They are poor because your pals are neither Miss Obama or Willie Brown's gal pal. Now imagine that you studied really hard while the rich kids partied and smoked dope and splattered water on you by running their BMWs through puddles as you walked home from high school. Imagine your last name is Chang and that your dad is a soldier and not a hedge fund manager, or that your mom is a waitress and not a TV bimbo. Now imagine how you feel when Durwood Rich Guy IV gets admitted to Harvard when he can't count past 10 with his Gucci loafers on, and you get slotted on a waiting list for Gumbo State. Imagine you handled classified information and you took it home and put it on your iPad. Do you think the FBI would be super concerned with your feels about it and give you a pass? Like Felony Milhouse Von Pantsuit? Like Felonia Milhouse Von Pantsuit got from Jim Comey? Or would you be bunking with Michael Cohen? And speaking of that looming doofus, if you lied under oath in front of Congress, do you think you'd be free to wander the country posting stupid tweets of yourself staring at trees and beaches? Yeah, sure, that would totally happen. The American dream has morphed into the American grift, and we, the normal people, are the marks. Let's stop pretending. Let's stop accepting the ruling class lies. Let's stop lying to ourselves. America has changed. There used to be one standard, one set of laws, one set of rules. Now there are two. The one set of rules for normal people is designed to jam us up, to keep us down, to ensure that the power of the powerful never gets challenged. And the one set of rules for the elite can be summed up like this: there are no rules. Dude. The media howls at the rule of law. Democrats poobahs cry about the rule of law. The freedom gimps whimper. The FredoCon gimps whimper about the rule of law. But the rule of law they aspire to is merely the rule over you. To them, the rule of law is not some transient principle. Its purpose is to not ensure equality and fairness in our society. It is a weapon designed to make sure nothing disrupts their scam. Why do you think, EOS, why do you think our elite is so eager to pass new laws and regulations? It is because normal people like you and me are running wild in the streets? No, of course not. They don't want to regulate political campaigns to make sure elections are fair. They want to regulate them so they will always win, and we never will again. They don't want a Green New Deal because they care about the weather in 2219, but because they want to take our power and our money for themselves. They don't want to ban our guns because we're dangerous to other Americans, but because armed and ready to defend our rights, we're dangerous to their power. Do you even for a second think any of the rules, regulations, statutes, or law they propose are even going to be applied to them? Do you see the Department of Justice ever indicting some liberal Democrat or some pliable, submissive con for campaign finance violations? We know the answer to that because Hillary is wandering around the woods with a goblet of screw-top Chardonnay glass in her withered paw, free as a bird. Do you see them giving up their SUVs and trudging to work on foot or riding some greasy, stinky bus? Will they give up their air travel? How about their beef? Tofu veggie burgers are for peasants, and their minions will always have guns even as you are rendered disarmed and defenseless. Speaking of which, the storms that are going on in the Midwest are the biggest tragedy ever. Your food is going up very quickly. The flooding in the Midwest is going to be the reason we have an economic calamity coming. Not the bullshit that they're going to tell you in the financial charts. Do you see them giving our elite is not elite. Instead, it's a bunch of bums who somehow got a little money and took the reins of power and now are shaking down our great nation for every penny they can wring out of it. We owe them nothing. Do you hear that one more time? We owe them nothing. Not respect, not gratitude, and certainly not obedience. If you still wonder how we got Trump, just look around you. He's a cry for help, a scream against the injustice we're surrounded by. This injustice is poison to our country. This injustice is what makes republics fall apart. When the worthless ruling class pushes its contempt in the people's collective face so hard and for so long that the population finally screams, to fucking hell with them. It can't continue. It won't continue.